The Power of the Other by Dr. Henry Cloud offers a profound, almost quietly revolutionary exploration of something we often overlook in our pursuit of success and fulfillment: the enormous, often invisible impact that other people have on our lives. While society glorifies individual effort, grit, and independence, Cloud argues persuasively that no matter how disciplined, talented, or driven we are, our relationships with mentors, friends, colleagues, partners, and even critics shape the boundaries of our growth, resilience, and well-being far more than we realize. At its heart, the book is about connection, not merely in the social sense of having people around us, but in the deeper sense of how the quality of those connections can either unlock potential we didn't know we had or quietly sabotage our best efforts. Cloud, drawing on decades of work as a clinical psychologist, leadership consultant, and executive coach, lays out a framework that helps us understand why some relationships propel us forward, while others drain, paralyze, or even break us. The starting point for Cloud's argument is the simple but often forgotten truth that humans are wired to need others. This is not a weakness to overcome, he insists, but a biological and psychological design that underlies everything we do. From childhood through adulthood, the brain's development, the nervous system's regulation, and even our immune function are profoundly shaped by relationships. When we ignore or underestimate this, we risk pushing ourselves to perform at levels that our inner wiring simply can't support alone. To unpack this, Cloud introduces the concept of the 4 corners of connection, a mental map that helps us see where each of our relationships sits and what effect it has on us. These corners, he explains, are not abstract labels but living, dynamic places we find ourselves in daily, sometimes even multiple times in the same day. Recognizing them is the first step toward change. Corner 1 is isolation. Not necessarily being physically alone, but feeling emotionally disconnected from others. Cloud describes this as the place of no connection. It's surprisingly common. People can be surrounded by colleagues, family, or friends yet feel profoundly isolated. The danger here isn't merely loneliness. Isolation starves the nervous system of the relational signals it needs to stay calm, creative, and resilient. In this corner, people often overthink, self-criticize, and feel their energy drain away. They may try to compensate with perfectionism or hyperachievement, but without real connection, the internal sense of emptiness persists. Corner 2 is the realm of bad connection. A relationship or environment that involves control, criticism, judgment, or fear. Many people find themselves here in toxic workplaces, controlling friendships, or childhood family dynamics that linger into adulthood. Cloud describes how such connections might appear functional on the surface, like a boss whose feedback keeps you on your toes. But they sap confidence and creativity over time. Instead of inspiring growth, these relationships trap us in a reactive cycle, always trying to avoid blame or criticism. This corner is marked by stress and the constant sense that you are never enough. Corner 3 is what Cloud calls pseudo-good connection. Relationships that feel supportive on the surface but are ultimately built on unhealthy patterns like enabling, flattery, or avoidance of truth. In these connections, people might validate us endlessly but never challenge us to grow or hold us accountable. Feels pleasant and safe, like always being told you're right, but it quietly keeps us stuck. This corner is seductive because it meets our need for acceptance, but it doesn't spark real transformation. Cloud points out that organizations and friendships alike can drift into Corner 3 when honesty feels too risky. Corner 4 finally is the goal: real healthy connection. These are relationships where truth and love coexist, where people accept us unconditionally but also challenge us to be our best selves. In Corner 4 we can reveal weakness without fear, knowing we'll receive support, but also honest feedback when needed. It's a space that builds resilience, creativity, and sustained performance. The research Cloud presents shows that individuals and teams who cultivate Corner 4 connections perform better, learn faster, and adapt more effectively to change. Cloud's analysis is deeply rooted in neuroscience and psychology. The human brain, he explains, is built to process emotional and social signals constantly. The ventromedial prefrontal cortex, limbic system, and other brain regions work together to interpret cues from others, whether we're safe, trusted, respected, or threatened. In Corner 4 relationships, these brain systems relax, freeing cognitive resources for problem-solving, innovation, and empathy. But in Corner 2 or isolation, these systems stay on high alert, narrowing thinking and fueling stress responses. Beyond the theoretical, Cloud offers stories from business, sports, and everyday life to illustrate the power of these corners. One story describes a highly talented executive who struggled with burnout and underperformance until she built Corner 4 relationships with mentors and colleagues who balanced truth with encouragement. In another, a sports team transformed after replacing a fear-driven authoritarian coach, Corner 2, with one who combined discipline with authentic care, Corner 4. These stories show that the effect of connection isn't subtle, it's transformative. A key insight of the book is that Corner 4 doesn't just happen by accident. It requires deliberate effort and courage. Cloud warns that our brains often default to isolation or unhealthy connections because they can feel safer or more familiar, especially if we grew up in environments lacking healthy models of connection. Moving to Corner 4 means making intentional choices, seeking out truth-tellers, risking vulnerability, and sometimes letting go of relationships that consistently pull us back to other corners. Cloud also explores why leaders in particular must understand this framework. In many organizations, culture drifts toward Corner 2, fear and control, or Corner 3, false harmony. A leader's job isn't merely to direct tasks but to shape an environment where people experience real connection. That means modeling openness to feedback, balancing high expectations with support, and encouraging honest dialogue. Cloud argues that the most effective leaders aren't necessarily the smartest or most charismatic but those who create Corner 4 cultures where people feel seen, challenged, and safe all at once. For individuals, Cloud offers practical strategies to cultivate Corner 4 relationships. It starts with self-awareness, recognizing when we're slipping into isolation, tolerating toxic criticism, or seeking comfort over truth. Then comes courage, initiating conversations where we ask for honest feedback, admitting mistakes without defensiveness, and being willing to challenge others from a place of care rather than judgment. Cloud acknowledges this isn't easy, but the reward is a network of relationships that sustain us through setbacks, celebrate growth, and help us reach potential we might not even see ourselves. A particularly moving part of the book is Cloud's discussion of vulnerability. In Corner 4, revealing fears, weaknesses, or doubts doesn't weaken us, it strengthens trust. Vulnerability invites others to be real too, creating a cycle where authenticity becomes normal rather than risky. Cloud emphasizes that this doesn't mean oversharing indiscriminately but being wisely open with those who've shown themselves trustworthy. Another profound idea is the link between connection and identity. Who we believe we are is often shaped by the reflections we see in others' responses to us. Healthy connections affirm our worth while challenging our blind spots. They help us separate what is true about ourselves from shame or false beliefs we might carry. Over time, this relational mirroring refines our sense of self, increasing confidence and resilience. In exploring the practical side, Cloud highlights how to spot the signs of Corner 4 relationships. These connections feel energizing rather than draining. They allow space for laughter and warmth alongside serious conversations. Disagreements don't spiral into hostility but become opportunities for deeper understanding. And there's a shared commitment to growth, not just comfort. When you look at your life, Cloud suggests, the people who most consistently bring out your best probably live in Corner 4. The book also recognizes the limits of connection. Corner 4 isn't about seeking approval from everyone or expecting perfection in others. Rather, it's about prioritizing the relationships that help us grow and learning to manage or step back from those that consistently harm. Cloud encourages readers to see this not as selfishness but as stewardship of one's energy, mental health, and life purpose. Perhaps one of the most hopeful messages in The Power of the Other is that even a single Corner 4 connection can have an outsized impact. You don't need dozens of perfect relationships. One friend, mentor, or partner who knows you fully and believes in your potential can spark changes that ripple across career, health, and family life. Cloud also extends the discussion to teams and organizations. In corporate settings, teams that operate in Corner 4 are characterized by open communication, psychological safety, and accountability paired with support. These teams innovate faster, navigate crises better, and maintain morale in challenging times. For leaders, building this culture requires intentional design, creating norms where feedback flows both ways, where vulnerability is seen as strength, and where mistakes become data for learning rather than triggers for blame. He cautions too about the cultural drift toward Corner 3 in some modern workplaces, environments where conflict is avoided in the name of harmony. While this feels pleasant, it often leads to stagnation and mediocrity because no one wants to risk discomfort by telling the truth. Healthy cultures, Cloud argues, must tolerate discomfort in service of growth. Throughout the book, Cloud's tone balances warmth with challenge. He neither shames readers for being in unhealthy connections nor lets them off the hook. The message is that while we can't control everyone around us, we can make choices about whom we trust, what behaviors we tolerate, and how honestly we show up ourselves that shape our relational world profoundly. In the final chapters, Cloud brings it all back to purpose. The goal of connection isn't merely comfort or belonging but unlocking our fullest potential to create, lead, love, and contribute in ways we can't do alone. Real connection is the fuel that allows us to endure setbacks, refine our character, and keep growing long after the initial spark of motivation fades. In closing, The Power of the Other offers a countercultural but deeply human vision, that the key to becoming our best selves doesn't lie only in solitary grit or brilliance, but in choosing, cultivating, and protecting the right kinds of relationships. Success, resilience, and fulfillment aren't solo projects. They're built moment by moment in the spaces between us and those we let truly see us. The book leaves readers with both a challenge and an invitation to honestly examine the corners where we spend most of our relational life and to move, patiently, courageously, toward the kinds of connections that give life rather than drain it. In a world obsessed with self-reliance, this message is as startling as it is liberating, that our greatest power often comes not from ourselves alone but from the right other.